People of Reddit who had a guest ruin the wedding. What happened? Not really ruining the wedding, but it certainly killed the vibe leading up to the wedding. I asked my brother to be my best man at my wedding, brother and I, Catholic, girlfriend, Episcopal. He says yes. Months after saying yes, he comes to us and tells us that he can't be the best man or even be at the ceremony because his priest tells him it will be a mortal sin for him to be a witness to the ceremony because I am not asking for dispensation and getting married in an Episcopal church. Okay, understood, sad, but if that's the way you see it, we'll deal with it. At this point I asked my best friend to be my best man and all is good. Or so we thought. A couple months before the wedding my brother starts a campaign calling my entire family and telling them they will be committing a mortal sin if they attend my wedding and explaining how my children will be bastards in the eyes of God and anyone who even sleeps under the same roof as us will be committing sin. What a fact? I find all this out through cousins and friends and am in complete shock. Luckily I have a few cool family, and they all show up for the wedding. Everyone had a "What the hell is wrong with your brother?" question on the day of the wedding, but it was a great time with an open bar and live band. Here's the kicker of it all. My mom is Catholic, my pop is Episcopal, no divorces or any unhappiness, just your normal suburban family. My father-in-law repeatedly used my husband's ex-girlfriend's name during his speeches, and when talking to me. His toast at the wedding was full of slurred speech, and a story about Mark and Alyssa and their budding romance and how adorable it was. I'm not Alyssa. Alyssa was his girlfriend in high school. His parents got divorced when he was young. He was a severely abusive alcoholic, and I've met him twice outside of our wedding. He didn't see much of my husband after he was 12 years old, very out of touch. That said, we had been dating 6 to 7 years before we got married. He should at least get my name right. I'm dark-haired, green-eyed, tan skin on the short side. She's light blonde, pale skin, blue-eyed, tall and willowy. I'm not even sure how he got confused. I think everyone looks the same in Drunkovision. This was not my wedding, but I was the flower girl. I know a while ago but remember like it was yesterday. So bride and company show up at the wedding. Bride had her gown, flower girl, me, had her little dress, and the seamstress was delivering the bridesmaids' dresses to the wedding venue. Of course, wedding party got there far in advance. Long story short, seamstress never showed up with the bridesmaid dresses. Nobody knew what to do, total panic. While 7-year-old me sat in the corner, wasn't quite sure what the ruckus was about. So I tugged on the bride and said, "They could wear those dresses," pointing to the church choir dresses in the corner closet. Her eyes got wide. And they did. Wedding saved. Wasn't there but friends of mine tell the story of how the best man's speech involved telling everyone that he and the groom had been lovers since college and that if there was any real justice in the world the two of them would be getting married. At the reception. In front of everyone. Sounded pretty fucking epic. I recently had my wedding and we woke up together happy to be getting married. Then my soon-to-be husband received a text from his mother. Disclaimer, his mother had waist-length black hair. It's a photo of her. She cut and colored her hair exactly like mine. Shoulder length, brown with blonde streaks. I was livid. Of all days to color your hair. And to do it on my wedding day. Fine, I let it go and decided to just forget it. Finally, it's the moment we all have been waiting for. I'm walking to the aisle, and we reach the front. The parents were called up so we all could recite a vow together. Our wedding was held in front of a riverbank, mind you. His mother then proceeded to walk around me near the pastor, instead of being with the other parents near the groom. She proceeded to loudly scream and fall. As she fell, she grabbed my hair and I fell with her inches away from the riverbank. My moment. Ruined. She got up and laughed, and walked away while I was on the ground trying not to cry. To be honest, I don't remember anything else from the ceremony. I was seeing red. We no longer speak to one another, and I will forever refuse to speak to that woman. My husband stands by me on that decision. Till this day, when I think about my wedding, I tear up. She ruined it, and didn't even feel sorry for it. My cousin didn't know that the bride's, his new sister-in-law, pregnancy was a secret. During his toast, he says something like, "This is great, you have a beautiful bride, a kid on the way." The silence in the crowd was awesome. I worked weddings. The best was the estranged, divorced father hadn't been in the picture for 20 years and who was not invited that showed up. Recognized the bartender as his ex-wife's friend, and starts grabbing everything available to throw at her. Police escorted him off the premises. Servers at a restaurant I was the dishpig at back in university came into the kitchen after the reception broke up, telling us that the groom's drunken father had just been loudly proclaiming that he was going to go watch his son fuck his new wife. Geez. Pity I missed that one. Wouldn't say it ruined it, but drunk Granny cut in during our first dance because it was her turn. That was awkward. Didn't ruin the wedding for everyone, but pretty bad. My dad got remarried when all of us kids were adults. His new wife had an adult son. My sister dated and slept with her now stepbrother. Later, when my stepbrother was marrying someone else, my sister decided on the day of the wedding it was her duty to tell the bride that she had slept with her fiancé. Somehow the day had to be about my sister. They didn't ruin the wedding, but did ruin a couple pictures. An aunt and her family are notorious for showing up, eating all the food, stealing some drinks, and leaving. Her one son, nice guy that he is, has addiction problems and just can't keep it together. Her daughter is trashy and has a new boyfriend every week. She will show up to family events, make a gigantic plate of food, talk to no one, and leave. My family has a free vending machine in the man cave style basement, and she will nearly empty before she leaves. So when my wife and I were planning the wedding, we didn't invite the one cousin with addiction problems, because at that point, he was in rehab, and we didn't let the girl cousin have a +1 because we were making some guest list cuts and she has trashy boyfriends anyway. Well, you can guess who shows up at only the reception, skip the wedding part. We had an open liquor and beer bar, so the addiction cousin gets blitzed immediately. He was jumping into every picture he could and becoming a real nuisance. My dad, no relation to this cousin, almost had to kick him out before other family members took him away. The girl showed up to our semi-formal wedding wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt, and her boyfriend of the week, who had the worst tobacco smile and looked like your typical redneck, was wearing a camo shirt and ripped jeans. She was filling her plate multiple times. She's not fat, she just takes as much as she can and stores it for later, while her boyfriend got drunk. Then they had an awful make-out session in the middle of the dance floor while groping each other. I went to the bar to get a drink, and since I was the groom, people let me to the front. Her boyfriend was there and was like, "What the hell?" Someone else said I was the groom and he was like, "You're the groom? No way, let's take shots." Everyone else that night was wonderful. It only takes a couple trashy family members to bring the mood down. I ruined a wedding one time, but it wasn't my fault, I swear it wasn't. I was a friend of the groom and I had an female 150, so I got asked to bring some chairs and a table to the reception hall, as people who own trucks are often asked to do. I agreed and was told I would be met there by a couple of women and a few guys to unload everything and place it. Cool. One of the women was pretty hot. I flirted a bit, and she flirted back. She asked if I wanted to take a walk along the river that the reception hall was on. Sure. We walked for a while and talked, and it got hotter and hotter. We ended up making out on the riverbank for a bit, and walking back to the hall, where I invited her to go for a ride in my truck. This was in rural Indiana, so in about 10 minutes we were along some numbered county road in the back of the truck, laying on a blanket and going at it. It was late evening and there was no one around. Then a car comes towards us. We laid still and waited on them to pass, but the car stopped and the girl from earlier got out and started screaming at us. Yep, the girl I was with was the bride. The wedding got cancelled. My friend punched me in the face. He found out later that I had no idea who she was and apologized. We are good now, and it was quite the scandal for a while. To be fair, you probably saved the groom from a lot of shit in the future. Plus, you didn't do it on purpose, so I'd say it was a blessing in disguise for everyone. Not ruined, so much as unexpected. My brother had an interesting toast at our wedding. He is genuinely a super friendly guy that everyone likes. He proceeded to get fairly drunk, and when his best man speech started, he proceeded to thank all for attending. Next, he had to thank the grandparents for attending and doing what they did, gesturing with air quotes, so that our parents could be here. Next was a thanks to the parents for doing what they did so we kids could all be here. He then mumbles "God bless the mashed potatoes," and drops the mic, stumbling off the dance floor. We had a good meal of prime rib and some of the best chipotle pepper mashed potatoes ever. The whole reception erupted in laughter, and Mom went to the chef to get the recipe. My sister's wedding album looks like her sister-in-law was the star. Nearly every getting ready, speech, cake cutting, bouquet toss, even the I do's, she's either directly in the middle, has barged in and is smiling straight at the camera, or is standing there with her boyfriend of the month. My sister didn't want her as a bridesmaid, just did it because she was invited to be one to the guy the sister-in-law was engaged to before that boyfriend. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.